I want to welcome you to another episode of The Mighty Few. I am Cam Jennings coming at you on behalf of epicconversions.com. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my show. This is season 3, episode 8. For those of you keeping score, and what are we talking about today? I'm going to talk to you about kind of like my weirdest email marketing secret, right? And I have this is very effective, and I have 13 years of proof to back this up. Okay. I have literally been doing email marketing for over a decade. So when we talk about weird little things when it comes to email marketing, I have some weird little things I could tell you about. But what I want to talk to you about today is very, very interesting. And so let me give you some context to what I'm talking about, and I will reveal this secret to you today. So, what I notice with my style of email marketing, and I see that my thing is saying I have kind of a splotchy internet connection, kind of a what do you call it? Patchy, kind of unstable internet connection. We'll see. So we'll see how it goes. So if this doesn't hold up and it kind of glitches out, I apologize. You get what you pay for. But no, listen, check it out. So I've been doing email marketing for quite a while, well over a decade now. And so what I notice with my particular style of email marketing, I talk about things that I've done, right? I talk about things that I did 10 years ago. I talk about things that I did 7 years ago. I talk about things that I did 3 years ago. I talk about things from the past. And what I notice is whenever I talk about things from the past, things that happened a while ago, I bring something up because usually I'm trying to make a point. I'm not usually just waxing nostalgic just to wax nostalgic, okay? I'm waxing nostalgic, and I'm pulling these ideas from the past to make a point about the present. But whenever I do that, whenever I bring stuff up from olden times, from times gone by, I always have a couple of people, 1 or 2 people, always email me and say, "Hey, I remember that." Or, "Hey, I was there when you did that." For example, whenever I talk about Adventures on the River, like my first membership club that I ever started, Adventures on the River, whenever I talk about that, I always have a couple people on my list email me and say, "Cam, I was there. I've been there since Adventures on the River. I was a member of Adventures on the River, and now I'm a member of your new membership club." Right? I always have a couple people who say stuff like that to me whenever I talk about the past, right? And this is something that has served me very well. And it's something like this idea of talking about the past and this idea of always bringing up olden times to make points about the present. These kinds of things, like the way that I do it, right? Man, I'm telling you, I know because people have emailed me. I know I have people on my email list that have literally been on my email list for over 10 years. I have people on my email list that have been there for over a decade, and they just stay there on my email list, right? So when I think about what does it take to keep people interested in what you have to say on an email list or anywhere really, but on an email list is where I've experienced this the most is on an email list. So what does it take to do that? How do you keep people on your email list for over a decade like that, and still interested in what you have to say? So I kind of this weird little thing. I've kind of, and this is funny too, right? Because whenever I learned email marketing, the gold standard was hey, people are hot on your email list for about 3 months. You got about 3 months to get what you need to get out of these people. And then they're going to slowly fade off, right? Until they're unresponsive. They don't care what you have to say anymore. Well, that hasn't been the case for me. Not really. I mean, yes, some people, of course, fade off, but I have this core following of people that do not fade off. And my goal is to just grow that core following of people that don't fade off, right? They go well beyond 3 months. They stay on your list for years and years and years. They are always interested in what you have to say. And, they're great, awesome people to have on your list. How do you grow that? How do you wrap that, what I got there? How do you wrap that in, put that in a bottle and like drink that every day. Like, how do you get that? Well, like I want to like kind of like give you three little kind of like tips that I can give you for kind of capturing that a little bit, getting people to care about what you have to say for very long periods of time, and they just stay with you through thick and thin. Like, how do you get it? Let me give you three things that I think matter when it comes to that. Okay. So the first one is the power of nostalgia. Okay. Like, over the years, like, I always refer back to things that happened in the past. And there is a power to nostalgia, right? We all experience nostalgia. We all experience things like nostalgia that we're drawn to it. There's a sadness to it, but there's also like this fond kind of like memory of things. Nostalgia's funny, and like, I don't know if they have scientifically really proven why we experience these feelings of nostalgia. But what I do know is we all are susceptible to nostalgia. Human beings are susceptible to nostalgia. So when you start circling back around to the past and talking about the past in your emails, right? But not just to wax nostalgic, always to refer back to something that's happening now, always to refer back to something relevant. But still, keep it on circling back around to the past. You're going to invoke feelings of nostalgia. Now, these are feelings people are attracted to. People have been attracted to these kind of feelings for hundreds of thousands of years. Ever since human beings have existed, I think you could scientifically prove we could scientifically prove, if we looked into it, that people have had these feelings of nostalgia. Now, some people are affected by nostalgia more than others, but we all are affected by this feeling of nostalgia. So the first thing that I would tell you is I invoke nostalgia with my email marketing. Not all the time, but definitely fairly regularly, I invoke feelings of nostalgia with email marketing. The second thing I would tell you is there's this thing called early adopter pride, right? Early adopter pride. So like, when I talk about things that have gone on before in my business, like, if people were there for that, right? They feel a sense of early adopter pride. If I talk about Adventures on the River, or if I talk about, like Talk Show Empire or Talk Show, whatever that product was called I put out. If I talk about membership dons, that's one. The first product I ever put out for Epic Conversions was called, Affiliate Rising, right? And Affiliate Rising, I mentioned that not too long ago in an email, just kind of waxing nostalgic. And what happened? Hey, I bought that product. I remember when you put Affiliate Rising out. So what am I doing, right? Info products are usually here today and gone tomorrow. It's up to you to mythologize your info products. It's up to you to create lore around your info products. If you don't want your info products to be here today and gone tomorrow, it's up to you to mythologize them. And you do that with your email marketing. You do that with your content. You wax nostalgic about them. You make them more than just an info product that came out 5 years ago. It's more than that. It's part of the history. It's part of the origin story. It's part of your story, right? So you make it more than just that, right? And what happens is when you do this kind of thing, you wax nostalgic and you invoke nostalgia on your stuff, right? And you talk about the stuff that you put out in the past and you talk about those kinds of things. What happens is you invoke early adopter pride in people. People who were there, they remember that. They were first. Have you ever been like the guy or the girl who, like, you knew the band before anybody else knew the band, and like, man, I knew him before anybody. And then when everybody else catches on to the band, you're feeling like, you're not an original fan. I've known this band forever. Early adopter pride, right? You were there first. You knew before anybody, right? Early adopter pride. Well, you can invoke early adopter pride with your email marketing surrounding your business. It's really like a different way of looking at your business. What we're really talking about is adding another dynamic to your business. We're talking about adding lore. We're talking about adding origin story. We're talking about building your story. And that brings me to my third little kind of like tip surrounding this subject of keeping people on your email list for years and years and years and still interested in what you have to say. And that is that, like, I call it the comic book saga, the comic book saga effect. When I was a kid, I was a big fan of comic books, and it's funny because I'm 49 now, and it's so funny. Like, I've been having kind of like this renaissance period for comic books. I've kind of been circling back around to comic books lately. I've been reading this comic book lately. Right now, I'm reading this. It's a manga, right? It's like the first manga I've ever read, but it's called Vinland Saga, and it's all about Vikings. It's really good. The only thing that's weird about it is you read the panels from right to left, and that's kind of strange instead of from left to right. But it's good. I really like it. But anyways, I've been having this kind of renaissance with comic books, and here's the thing. With comic books, it's never over, right? With comic books, it's never over. There's always another chapter. And with comic books, the other thing is you'll always see them referencing things that happened before. A lot of times in comic books, you'll see like someone mention something in the story, and then there'll be a little asterisk, right? There'll be a little asterisk, and down to the bottom, it'll say, see, Avengers issue, 396. Like, they're referencing something that happened in another issue, right? So basically it's like this continuing story, and you start to feel like, it's for everybody. The email's for everybody, and the content you're putting out there's for everybody, but it's almost like there's a little more to the story. There's a little something extra for the people who've been here the people who've been here longer, right? And the people who've been here longer, they're getting all the inside jokes. The people who've been here longer understand what's happening, right? Another example of this is like, I'm a big fan of sports talk radio, okay? One of my favorite sports talk radio guys is Jim Rome, okay? I'm not talking about if you hear me wrong, I'm not talking about the public speaker, okay? I'm not talking about the self-help guru. I'm talking about the sports talk radio guy, Jimrome, Jim Rome, all right? Jim Rome, if you listen to his show, like, there's all this like lingo surrounding his show. Like, he calls his fans clones, right? For example, another example would be like, he's got sound bites that he uses during his show, and his sound bites, they always reference like a joke or something that he had talked about at some point, in his show, and he made a big deal of it. He ranted about it. Then it becomes a sound bite. And now that soundbite will just come up in episodes. But man, if you don't know what he's talking about, that soundbite will not make sense to you at all. However, you can still enjoy the show. You still understand what's going on. There'll just be little tiny pieces that are like, you don't understand it. You don't get the joke. And it feels a lot like an inside joke you don't get. So this is like comic book saga effect. That's what I call it. Comic book saga effect, where like you can read the comic book and you pretty much understand the story, but like you can see there's things here and it's referencing previous issues that you haven't read. So now you start feeling like, to get the whole story, I need to go back and read that. But, maybe if I just read this and keep on reading it, like, I will start to get the inside jokes. I will start to understand the stuff that's gone before. I got to keep on reading it to get that stuff, right? That's comic book saga effect. Okay. Now, that is something I use in my email marketing all the time, right? I don't put like things like, see email 332 or anything like that. But I will talk about things, and I will, have like ongoing kind of like, ongoing narratives, in my emails. Like right now, a big ongoing narrative is how I feel about artificial intelligence, right? And like kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly of artificial intelligence. And I will kind of like build on this story in my email marketing. And this happens all the time. So what I'm telling you is these ideas of invoking nostalgia, these ideas of early adopter pride, invoking early adopter pride, these ideas of, executing comic book saga effect, Like, these are things that keep people on your list for a long time, all right? And interested in what you have to say, because they don't want to miss the next thing. They don't want to not understand the private joke, So like, it's one of those kind of things, right? And it's a little bit intangible. And I hope you can see the value in this video. I really do. I hope you can see the value in it, because it's really the difference between making a lot of money with email marketing and not making a lot of money with email marketing. And you might say, why is that? Why is the difference between making a lot of money and not making a lot of money with email marketing? Why? I'll tell you why. Because a lot of your sales in business come from return customers. Okay. A lot of your sales in business come from return customers. I have to spend so much energy, so much money, so much energy, so much time acquiring new customers. But the customers I already have, I don't have to spend a bunch of time, energy, and money acquiring them. I already have them. So a lot of your profit comes from return customers. I would say 75% I would say 75% of your profits come from return customers. 75%. That's what I would say. And I didn't make that up. And I read that in a book, but it tracks with my business. 75, probably more than 75% of my business comes from return customers. That's what I would say. New customers, the new customers I acquire, generally they are more low ticket buyers. I don't get a lot of new customers buying $50 and above products. So like, low mid products, mid ticket products, I don't see a lot of new customers buying that stuff. I see new customers buying like $5 products, $10 products, anything under $20, very low ticket products or free products, right? So like, these new customers, it takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to acquire them, right? And I'm not saying you shouldn't be doing it. We should all be trying to acquire new customers. But what I'm saying is this idea of keeping people in your ecosystem, keeping people in your world and interested in what you have to say for a long period of time, for years and years and years and years. What I'm saying is, hey, listen, man, 75% of your revenue is going to come from that group of people. So it matters a great deal. Yeah. Anyways, listen, if you like what I have to say, if you're interested in this video, a couple things I want you to do. First, I want you to go to epicconversions.com. I want you to sign up for my email list, right? Because I think I put my best free content out by email. Okay. The second thing I want you to do, man, I want you to share this video. I want you to comment on this video, and I want you to share it with someone else you think might like it. Why? Because I don't think the mighty few is getting the love it deserves. I really don't. I think the mighty few is dropping bombs on you. I think I am dropping gold nuggets on you right now. These are extremely valuable, lessons that I'm dropping on you. That's how I feel, right? And if you have listened to the mighty few, or if you have watched the mighty few and you love the stuff I'm talking about, and I'm telling you things you didn't know and it's helpful, man, appreciate this show. Share it with somebody. Help it grow. Because right now, I don't think the mighty few is growing very much. And if it doesn't grow, I don't know if I can keep on doing it. I have it planned out for the end of this year, every day, Monday through Friday, until the end of the year. But I'm a busy man. And if it doesn't grow, then, I don't know. I don't know. I think the market's telling me something. Maybe the market doesn't really care about it. So if you do care about the mighty few, be sure to give this a like, drop me a comment, and share this with someone you think might like it, right? Because it matters more than you know. I would definitely appreciate you, and I appreciate that. And thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next episode of The Mighty Few. Peace now.